Oh, come, all ye faithful,
To the Football Natter. It's the Christmas special. Let's go. So, Harry, what is in the Football Natter stocking this week?
We have Man United and our reaction to Mourinho's sacking, Champions League draw and any potential shocks, and finally, as always, previews to the Premier League.
You're quite harsh with the Mourinho sacking. Oh, right. Okay, so let's get straight into it. We cannot dilly-dally with this one. On the 18th of December, Manchester United sacked Mourinho, costing them 18 million quid. And 2 days later, they appointed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the caretaker manager, which we just cannot stop laughing about until the end of the season when they decide on a permanent manager. Who knows? It could well be Ollie. What was your thoughts on him getting sacked? Do you think it was coming? Do you think maybe it should have been done sooner even?
It was definitely coming, and you could definitely argue that it should have come sooner because there are a lot of fans who were over the moon with his sacking. His tactics weren't exciting enough for the fans. His man management was pretty poor, as we saw. There were a lot of clashes with other players. And I just think it was time for him to leave. It's time for him to move on. I don't know if he's going to get a better job in the future. But he's been linked plenty of times with the likes of Real Madrid, but I doubt they want him. Yeah, it's just about finding someone who's going to be a much better man management, maybe someone who knows the club a little bit better. And, Solskjaer, I don't know about him. I don't know if he's the right man. He doesn't have the greatest track record. When he was managing Cardiff, played 18 games in the Premier League. He won 3, he drew 3, and he lost 12, including, Jack may I add, a 4-0 loss to Sunderland. Now, that's not as sweet as your vocal performance, I'll tell you that. It's very disappointing, to be honest, and I don't know if they'll be that excited with it, but the fans can always think his situation was so much different there. He's coming with a lot of a higher quality of players, so he's more mid-table team, Man United, rather than relegation fighters, Cardiff. Yeah, who knows? He could do anything, really. It's a big challenge for a man with such little experience, but, just wait and see what happens with it. Anything can happen. What are you thinking about his appointment?
Well, once a substitute, always a substitute, really. Poor Solskjaer. Like you say, he hasn't had the greatest track record. In fact, I saw a video on BBC, actually, loads of Cardiff fans dissing his appointment. Which I thought was quite funny. Cardiff play Man United this weekend, funnily enough, as Solskjaer's first game. He should get an interesting reception. Left them when they were 17th in the Championship. What a great manager. Yes, he's inherited good players, and really he's not there to do anything this season. Probably go as far as he can in whatever he can. I mean, we're going to talk about the Champions League last 16, so we'll talk about their chances in that later on. But I don't know. I think the main thing when a manager leaves is to get the players back in good spirits and back in playing well. He's got to get Pogba back on side now, quickly, because otherwise he could be off in January, and that'll just make their problems worse. I do feel really sorry for Mourinho, actually, because I think if he'd been backed by the board, and if they'd just agreed to the kind of structure, because I was reading on BBC Sport that Mourinho wanted to kind of form his own structure, much to like what worked with Chelsea and what worked well with Chelsea, but Manchester United weren't prepared to do that. I just think sometimes when you have a manager like Mourinho, who's such a big figure in football and such a kind of big character, maybe the kind of letting him do it his own way when he's got the past experience is probably better. Now, apparently, when the new manager comes in, we are going to see a new kind of level to the club, with kind of a manager and a new head of football being appointed, which will all kind of be responsible to Vice Chairman Ed Woodward. So that's going to be interesting to see how that partnership works. And actually the manager that they bring in is going to have to have bought into that whole kind of hierarchy before they come in, because I think he was almost maybe just sprung up on Mourinho. And I don't know, but this season he just seemed fed up. Like he didn't want to be there, and some press conferences when he was having to prove how many titles he's won, He just didn't seem the same Mourinho. Now, obviously, we know his track record always going downhill in the third season. And, I think when he didn't get his January signed, they were linked with Godin, Jimenez from Atletico Madrid, loads of good players, and defensive players because, that was the problem for Man United. And he saw that and he identified that and he wanted the key players, in defence to help shore them up because, he would hope that Lukaku would have been doing better than he turned out to do. But, he wanted those defensive players to... Sure, because at the end of the day, you can't rely on Jones and Smalling to get you far in the Premier League. And I think it was very much a fluke that they got second in the Premier League with the defence they had. So, Mourinho noticed that and he knew they had to strengthen, but he just wasn't back. And so actually, I think it's partly the fault of the board that he's been sacked. But I'm pretty sure he won't be complaining with 18 million quid in his back pocket.
But looking forward, who are they going to bring in now? Very few names have actually been linked with the position. I'm not surprised. It's not really a job a lot of people would want. But, Mauricio Pochettino has been linked, obviously from Tottenham, and predominantly it's been Zinedine Zidane. We know about Zidane, we know he's won so many titles as a player, and when he was at Madrid he won the Champions League multiple times. We know he's got quality. As a manager, his tactics have been criticised, but we know he loves an attacking style. He says he was greatly influenced by Christian Gourcuff when he was managing Lorient, and also Marcelo Bielsa. And we spoke about him the other week. So it'll be interesting to see the style he would bring if he was appointed, but I'm not too sure. I don't know if they've got the right connections to get him in or if he actually wants a job there. Who do you think are the best options for them as a managerial role going into next season?
Well, from now on, it's all about moving up and trying to get that next level because since Alex Ferguson left, we've kind of talked about this over the past few weeks. In bits and how Manchester United really haven't consolidated a top position in the Premier League under David Moyes. David Moyes was a good manager. Didn't work out for some reasons, but he was a good manager. There was a reason they appointed him. He was doing really, really well at Everton, doing better than they'd ever hoped him to do, and he was a really good manager, playing a really nice style of football. So I can see why they appointed him. Louis van Gaal, had a great World Cup with the Netherlands. I think that was very much based on why they appointed him. But at the end of the day, he wasn't a very good manager in the Premier League. His defensive style of football wasn't the style of football which Manchester United played. The whole kind of idea of hoofball, it wasn't enjoyed by the fans, and the screams of attack. From Louis van Gaal, the whole kind of connection from Manchester United to the fans has been kind of deteriorating. The hope that when they brought in Mourinho, they were going to win trophies and bring that kind of connection back with the fans back. They won the FA Cup, the Capital One Cup, or whatever it's called now, Europa League. They had some really good wins. Really, winning some good competitions, getting trophies back on the board, and kind of then in his first couple of seasons, we started to see Manchester United back to where we thought they would be. Winning the odd trophy, challenging, going second in the Premier League. And everybody thought that this time, the third season from Mourinho would be different. They thought, he's done really well so far. There's no way that this is going to go, hell. This is going to turn into absolute hell. But the fact that he wasn't back, he turned very sour very quickly, and that meant he lost the players in the dressing room. And I just think from then on, it's been a struggle for him to kind of regain that trust in the dressing room. There was rumours that Alexis Sanchez had put a 20 grand bet on Mourinho getting sacked in a WhatsApp group. That's not a player committed to his manager, and if you've lost the dressing room, you're not going to win games. The players don't want to play for you. And so now it's the job of Solskjaer to come in and get the players, not necessarily playing for him, but playing for the club, and actually giving them some hope that actually just freedom more than anything. I think often when a manager leaves, you can feel a bit more like you can play with a bit more freedom and kind of express yourself a bit more. Obviously, Lukaku and Sanchez are injured for the next couple of weeks, so we're not going to see them under Solskjaer for a while. But what do you think we're going to see with players like Lingard? Do we think he's going to kind of regain some of his brilliant form? Do we think we're going to see a more kind of involved Marcus Rashford?
I'd really hope so, to be honest, but I'm not very sure. I don't know if he's going to make an instant impact. That's the issue. He hasn't really confronted a lot of the issues with the team. He's just saying, I'm here to track how things go, just be an overseer. And it's all about next season. The club said themselves with their statement, it's about planning for the next season, or we'll appoint someone full-time then. So as far as 2018-19 goes, I think their season could be quite dry. I think something around 6th or 7th place is imminent. But Lingard, Rashford, if we see them start to regain some good form, that'd be brilliant. It'd be good for the national team, obviously. It would be great for them, for their confidence going into the new season with a new manager and proving that they are ready for the challenge of trying to compete for the title or trying to compete for the Champions League spots at the very least. Because to be honest, where they are at the moment is not what you would have expected maybe 5 years ago. But the person they need to bring in is someone with good man management, because that's not what Mourinho had. And obviously all the player bust-ups or this Sanchez rumour or all the things that went on with players such as Pogba is just not good enough. And there are definitely players who need to leave the club. And if I'm being totally honest, I think Pogba is a liability. I think that he ruins the mentality around the club, and I think he's just one massive publicity stunt in a player, to be honest. We know his quality. He's played very well for France. He played great in the World Cup win, but he needs to move on. I think he needs to find his feet at another club and let Man United kind of rebuild elsewhere. They've definitely got the quality in midfield, as you said, with Lingard, for example. And it's just a massive rebuilding process. Probably going to take multiple transfer windows. It would just be interesting to see where it goes.
So, would Pochettino, do you think, move to Manchester United in the hope that he can have a sustained career at one of the biggest clubs in the world, commercially, in history? Do you think Pochettino would make that move? Do you think it's a good move for him to make? Obviously he's very much kind of got the project at Tottenham, which he's working hard to kind of to continue. Obviously they're moving into the new stadium, hopefully at some point in the new year. So would Pochettino considering leave that project? Obviously he wasn't backed in the summer. Would that kind of, do you think inside he's quite angry with Daniel Levy that he hasn't been able to add to his squad and actually try and go one further and win the Premier League, secure the FA Cup? They're into the semi-finals of the EFL Cup, so that's good for them. They're a decent chance and shot at winning the trophy. So would Pochettino give it all up for Manchester United?
It would be a step backwards if you ask me. Of course, Man United, they have a lot more money commercially. They're way bigger historically. That they've done a lot more. They've obviously won the Premier League 13 times, but he's got a beautiful atmosphere at Tottenham. He's got an incredible team spirit. There's an incredible amount of drive in that team to really do something special. And they haven't won anything yet, it's true, but they are making inroads. They are trying, and the team is there. It's just waiting to win something. As you said, EFL trophy, semi-finals, Chelsea is a massive challenge, but they're more than capable of overturning them. And Champions League, they showed incredible spirit to get through that very tough group stage. Incredible performances against Inter and Barcelona. I think he's got them playing such a unique style. He's a great man manager, as I said, so maybe he would be good for Man United, but there's no need to do it. He's going somewhere where there is a somewhat toxic atmosphere, and rebuilding it would be so massive and it could so easily fail. And what is at Tottenham is it's brilliant, and I don't think there's any reason to give it up. I think he's got an even greater chance at winning something at Tottenham, where you're almost guaranteed Champions League every season, to a club which is, so dubious like Man United.
So just finally then, prediction for Manchester United at the end of the season. Top 4, top 5, any cup wins? What do you think?
No, they won't win anything. They definitely, I don't see them winning a single thing, to be honest. I think that they'll be done in the Champions League very soon. Probably 6th. I think they'll probably just about scrape it. You could see a team like Everton or possibly even Wolves take that spot, but no, I think they have enough quality there. It's just if it's honed in on enough, then they can focus in on that Premier League and try and get that 6th spot Europa League.
Okay, I mean I probably agree with you. I might even go 7th. I just don't think that Solskjaer. I think it's gonna be a lot up to Michael Carrick behind the scenes to kind of get them playing. He's been there since the start of the season, so I think it's going to be very much up to Michael Carrick helping Solskjaer with the team. But at the end of the day, if he gets them back playing, with some freedom on the pitch and with a good style of play and just a basic style of play, they could get top 5 We will see. I think Solskjaer's very much a risk. But then again, who else would you have brought in if they're not looking to sign anyone until the end of the season? You know, there aren't many other people you could bring in. But I think 7th, you think 6th. But moving on, we're going to go on to the Champions League last 16 draw. And there's some pretty interesting ties here. I'll read them all out and we'll go through them one by one. And who we think is the best chance of progressing. So we have Roma Porto, Man United PSG, Tottenham Dortmund, Ajax Real Madrid, Lyon Barcelona, Liverpool Bayern, Atletico Madrid Juventus, and Schalke Manchester City. Harry, what is the standout fixture for you?
You got a good list there. Standout fixture though, probably Liverpool Bayern Munich in terms of quality. I think that both teams have excellent players, but Atletico Juventus as well. You're looking at two teams with top quality sides. You know, they're both going to try and challenge. All four of those teams are going to try and challenge for the top spot. There are some other interesting ones though. Tottenham, Dortmund, two teams in great form in Europe and domestically. So, you know, there are some great draws in there. It will be interesting to see what happens with all of them, but I think there are some easier ones like Man City. They're definitely going to beat Schalke, aren't they? I can definitely see that happening, and PSG will find Man United quite easy, I think. But what do you think?
Well, straight away, when you look at Liverpool Bayern, I mean, they're two teams which we might expect to see in the final, and they find themselves in the last 16, and only one of them can go through. So one of the big guns, you know, the finalists from last year against a team which, you know, would be tipped to win it. Now Bayern aren't, you know, they've had a few slips up in the league domestically in Germany, and they're not doing the best. You know, are they going to focus on the Champions League and just think, well, you know, okay, we've lost Bundesliga, but let's actually win the Champions League and go all out against Liverpool? Or actually, is it the fact that their form domestically is actually going to hinder them in the Champions League? The first leg is at Anfield. Champions League nights at Anfield are not a place I'd want to go, even as the best team. And I think Klopp is going to get Liverpool playing really well, and I could actually see them winning over two legs. Probably a big win in the first leg and a draw away from home. I think that's the only way Liverpool, going to be able to beat Bayern. Klopp obviously has got a good experience playing against them, so I think he's going to be able to set the team up well to beat them. Tottenham Dortmund, like you say, two teams in very good form. It's going to be a good game. If anybody has seen Dortmund's set piece from the other game, oh my god, what a set piece! That was beautiful. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. It's on YouTube. Fantastic set piece, and actually Dortmund might well focus on using set pieces to get past Tottenham, and hoping that, you know, a defender doesn't track a man and win that way, because I think it's going to be a very tight game. Two teams that play very good football, two very good managers up against each other. That's going to be a good tight one. Atletico Juventus. Now Atletico, I mean, they haven't done very well in the Champions League in the past couple of seasons. Juventus obviously in fantastic form as we expected, with Ronaldo and Dybala and just incredible players. Massimo Allegri getting them playing some fantastic stuff once again. So I can actually only see that going in Juventus' favour. I don't think Atletico Madrid are really going to stand a chance. Do you think Ajax could be a force against Real Madrid? Real Madrid not in the best of form. Ajax, I think the longest unbeaten team domestically. I think they've won their past 10 games in a row. So are Ajax actually going to be a surprise force against Real Madrid?
Be ready for them to knock them out. I think Ajax will win the game over both legs. I think whether that's going to be a draw and a win, or, you know, whatever happens, I think that over the two legs, Ajax are going to do the job. And that's because Real Madrid have looked so shaky this season. We've seen some terrible losses against Eibar. Every time they play, the defence looks really dodgy. You know, even some of the most reliable players over the years just aren't doing it. And Ajax, well, they got some great form together. They did great in their group. Even against Bayern Munich, we saw them playing really well. And there's that young talent, Frankie de Jong, who's been linked with a move away to the likes of Man City. And it just shows the quality of their midfield, and, you know, that youth system that is so famed across the world really comes into play. And I think that they can definitely take on Real Madrid. I'm expecting a win. How about you? What are you thinking?
Well, you know, on paper, we wouldn't even expect it to be tight. But at the end of the day, Real Madrid are not in good form at all. They've gone through two managers so far. I mean, rumours of Mourinho going back until the end of the season there, because they're doing so badly. Nobody expected that when they sacked Zidane and when they kind of lost Ronaldo, that the fall would be this bad. Before we thought, oh yeah, Ronaldo isn't that good. He's only he's a good player in a great team. But actually, Ronaldo was the great player in what seems now to be an average team, and it shouldn't be, because you look at the quality of the players and you think, they've won Champions League. Ronaldo didn't single-handedly win them with the Champions League, but I actually think he was very much such an important part of the spine that spine has just completely fallen apart with him going to Juventus, and now Juventus are reaping the benefits of him, and he's doing absolutely incredible in Turin. But Lyon Barcelona is another one that stands out to me. Lyon, obviously Memphis Depay, players like Bertrand Traoré. They've got a great goalkeeper in Anthony Lopez. Do you see Lyon causing an upset? I mean, Barcelona doing great in La Liga, don't get me wrong. Messi seems to be in incredible form. We all saw how he took apart PSV Eindhoven. Do you think Lyon stand a chance? They've got the first leg at home, so they're going to be looking to make a good impression. Manchester City's really struggled against Lyon in both legs. So, do you think Lyon are actually going to be a threat to Barcelona?
It's possible because, as you said, they got some great individuals in there. Traoré, Depay is a massive standout. He's been incredible for both Lyon and the Netherlands, and also Nabil Fekir. They got some great players in there. It will just be, can they really match Barcelona? Because I don't think they're quite there yet. It could be interesting. It could be close. But I think that Barcelona are just a force to be reckoned with this season. They were excellent in their group, even though they did struggle a little bit against Tottenham in that last game. Excellent in their group. They're doing very well in La Liga. They're first place right now. I really expect them to go through. And if I remember correctly, you said you thought I'd win the Champions League, so I'm expecting you're going to say the same.
Yeah, I did say that. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I stick by that. I think Barcelona will win the Champions League. And I think as much as Lyon are going to try against them and might well win the first leg 2-1, I think Barcelona are really going to go at them at home. We saw how they turned it around against PSG a couple of years ago. I know it was a very different team, but at the end of the day, I think they've still got that in them. Messi's in incredible form. Dembele is finally coming into fruition, like we all thought he would. Rakitic, Busquets, Vidal, Ter Stegen in great form. Sergio Roberto, you can go on. They've just signed Mourinho from Valencia actually on loan for the rest of the season with a view to a permanent deal. So that's a really, really good sign, and that's only going to shore up their defence. So I think Barcelona will go through. I think it's going to be tough, but I think they will go through in the end. But Porto. Roma obviously had a really good run last year. Porto historically in the Champions League have done very well. Obviously Mourinho winning it with them. Are Porto kind of resurrected? Are we going to see them win another Champions League, or are Roma just going to send out Edin Dzeko and absolutely pummel them?
I'm a massive Dzeko fan. I can definitely see it happening. Porto, I think they're in decent form in is it Liga NOS in Portugal? I think it's called that. Marega, I know he's a good striker for them. He's scoring some decent goals. However, Roma are too good. In Serie A, they're not doing brilliantly, so they can really focus on the Champions League. As you said, last season was brilliant for them in Europe, getting to that semi-final. That was a great achievement. And although they've lost the likes of Alisson, they've definitely been able to build. They've got some great youngsters in there. Cengiz Ünder is a brilliant winger. He can score from absolutely anywhere. You just go and watch his goals. He is a wonder kid. He's great. They've got other players like Kluivert. He's good. He's youngster they brought in obviously in the summer, and he's really proved himself to be quite a decent player. And you've already touched on Edin Dzeko, who is a great poacher. He's a great goal scorer. He's reliable, and he's done it all. He's done it everywhere, and he can definitely do it for Roma. And this isn't the hardest game they'll play. I think that they can definitely get through this. It will just be who they come up against next, but I'm not expecting too much of an issue from Porto. I don't think they're going to win it again.
Okay, and the last one, Schalke, Manchester City. No, I must admit, I haven't watched a lot of Schalke this season. I know they did very well in their group to progress, and they are in okay form in good form in the Bundesliga. We all know about Manchester City. Pep Guardiola really looking to win the Champions League. Did you predict they'd win the Champions League? Yeah, you predicted they'd win the Champions League. So this is it's important to get through this round without a hiccup really, and kind of make sure that they dominate both games. Schalke have a very good home record, but it is Manchester City at the end of the day. This will be the strongest team they've probably come up against this season. Do you think Guardiola's going to be able to do it over 2 legs? It seems like on paper. In reality, do you think it'll be the same?
Yeah, like you, I don't know a great deal about Schalke. Out of all the 16 teams, they're probably the one I'm the least knowledgeable about. But yeah, they'll definitely do it. As I said, they'll win. So surely anyone they come against, I'm going to say, yeah, they can do it. But Guardiola, we know his tactics are so effective domestically in Europe, everywhere. They've got the players, they've got the depth. You can expect to see them come out and score a lot of goals against a team like Schalke, who aren't exactly setting the Bundesliga on a light. You know, City have such incredible quality. I think they're going to go the whole way, at least for me, the final, at least get there. So let's just see what happens with this game, but I think that they're going to win.
Okay, once again, I'm going to plug it. Email thefootballnatter@gmail.com if... I'm glad you can't see us right now, because Harry is flossing like he has no tomorrow. Embarrassing. You're not coming on next week. This is your last episode. So email thefootballnatter@gmail.com with your thoughts of the Champions League last 16. But let's go on to the previews. Back to the Premier League. Let's go on to the previews for this weekend's game. Now, as we're recording this, what is it? 2-0 currently to Liverpool against Wolves. So we're kind of gonna skip that preview out. But we'll assume that Wolves haven't come back and won like 7-4. So well done to Liverpool for winning. They will stay top of the Premier League this weekend. But on to the Saturday and Sunday games. Or was that full time? Full time 2-0 Liverpool. Okay, so well done again to Liverpool. Going on to Saturday's games, we have Arsenal-Burnley to kick us off. Arsenal, lost to Tottenham obviously in the EFL Cup game, but I think they'll come back very well in the league. They're against Burnley, not doing very well this season. Sean Dyche isn't really going to light up the Emirates. I'm going to go for Unai Emery's men to win 3-1.
Yeah, you can tell Arsenal definitely want to win something this season because they did pull out a pretty much full-strength team against Tottenham in the EFL Cup. Maybe that was just because it was the North London derby, but they were definitely trying to win that trophy, I think. So, unfortunate for them, of course. Burnley, though, not the hardest of chances, They can definitely go out there and put out a convincing result, but Burnley, they've been down for so long now. This season has been absolutely dire. Every week we predict for them, we predict a loss, or at the very best a draw, and I just think they're doomed this season. The way it's going, I think they're going to go down actually. But Arsenal, yeah, we know they've got the firepower. We know they've got a bit of flair in them if they want to use it. That is because they can be a bit inconsistent. But 2-1 is what I'll say for this game to Arsenal.
Okay, Bournemouth-Brighton, a South Coast derby. Two teams, in good positions in the Premier League. Bournemouth have dropped off in the last few weeks. They've been quite disappointing, really. We all thought they'd kind of establish quite a few wins this season. But Callum Wilson obviously is always going to be a threat. So I'm going to go for a Bournemouth win. Probably 2-1 against Brighton. I can see Brighton getting an equaliser, but Bournemouth pushing. And of course, I'm going to go with Callum Wilson to get the goal.
Yeah, not much to add. I think 2-1 is a good prediction there. They've been quite unfortunate, Bournemouth. They've been playing some good football, but not getting the results. And I think it's time that they do. So 2-1 against Brighton. We can expect maybe a Glenn Murray goal. But Callum Wilson, let's hope he's on fire.
He's always on fire, Harry. He's always on fire. Chelsea-Leicester. I can see that being a good game. A game which Leicester could easily come away with something. Surprisingly, but Sarri is going to want to try and consolidate and make sure he's keeping up with Manchester City and Liverpool at the top of the league. So I'm going to go with the Chelsea win. Leicester to unfortunately miss out. And I've got written 2-0 down here, but actually I'm going to change that, and I think it's only going to be 1-0 Chelsea. Leicester are going to push them all the way, but I think it's going to be, the great players they've got, like Eden Hazard and Willian in the good form that he is, which is really going to make the difference. So a 1-0 Chelsea win for me.
Yeah, Leicester has shown some great... I like from Tweety Bird. Yeah, Leicester has shown some great quality this season. We've seen their defensive strength for, Harry Maguire. When he's not injured, he's an excellent defender. And Chelsea, on the other hand, they've started playing with this new formation with the false nine, obviously Eden Hazard in that position. And it's been very successful, actually. They're starting to string together some good wins since they've taken the likes of Morata out of the team, who is an absolutely useless player. So, despite Leicester's strength in defence, I'm going to have to go with a 2-0 win for Chelsea, but it could be close.
Okay, what a fixture this is. Your favourite man in the world versus Wreck-It Ralph.
We love you, David.
David versus Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know. We've actually ruined that because Wreck-It Ralph. Honestly, right. We are sorry if you're now going around calling the Southampton manager Wreck-It Ralph. But anyway, Huddersfield versus Southampton. What a win for Wreck-It Ralph against Chelsea. Was it Chelsea?
Arsenal.
What a win for Wreck-It Ralph against Arsenal. Danny Ings somehow popping up with 2 fantastic headers. Harry, stop making faces. I can't concentrate. It's an important episode. It's a Christmas special, Harry. Take this seriously. So, Huddersfield, Southampton, Wreck-It Ralph to come away from the John Smith Stadium with a 2-0 win.
Wreck-It Ralph's team was absolutely insane against Southampton. Mark my words, Danny Ings came out.
They are Southampton.
Danny Ings was absolutely incredible against Arsenal. Mark my words, he was insane. His headers were top quality. His pace was unreal. He's maybe going to be the man who I said they didn't have. You know, he did put in a great performance there, and Wreck-It Ralph will want to utilise him once again. Took him off after the 70 minutes, of course, just to keep his fitness up. He's struggled with injury a lot. But if they can keep him firing, you know, it could be an interesting match. Huddersfield, though, disciplined, but struggling. They've lost their best player, Aaron Moy, to injury, and they're going to be desperate to scrape together some points. And Southampton are coming from such a massive high that their confidence is going to be up there, and Huddersfield will look to shock them. They are at home, so I think they're really going to dig deep and just try their hardest to keep the likes of Ings out. I don't think they're going to be able to do that entirely, but I think they're going to get a decent result, 1-1.
You couldn't really decide there between the two. That's why you've got 1-1, really, isn't it? City, Palace. I think Palace are going to get absolutely pummeled to the floor. Poor Roy Hodgson is going to look like a wet lettuce.
He always does.
He's going to be like an ice cream in summer. City are going to absolutely pummel Palace in this game. 4-0 for me. Guardiola is going to be looking at just degenerated Roy Hodgson. He's going to be flimsy on the touchline, slumped back, freezing in the Manchester weather. Go back to London, Roy, with an ice scarf. This Christmas episode is just I don't even know what it's turned into. Just nothing. I just picked up the wrong notes as well. Right. Okay. So Manchester City, Palace to be pummeled. City 4, Palace 0. Harry, just take over.
Barely get your words out, so I'll make it simple for you. Crystal Palace, terrible. Hodgson, weird. City, brilliant. Sexual. 3-0 City.
Thank you for just clearing that up. I don't know what happened to me there. Newcastle, Fulham. The Geordies in cracking form. Rafa Benitez obviously winning manager of the month for last month. Incredible stuff. Fulham. Now let's speak about Ranieri for a second, because we all thought he'd come in and said he's a ship and he's done anything, but in fact he's probably just he's put a bomb through half the floor, and they do seem very much to be like a sinking ship. Is he going to be able to rebuild that base? Is he going to be able to rebuild the base of the ship? Or was it always destined to sink since they got into the Premier League?
I think, to be honest, it all started with that summer window, which we all thought was so good, where they spent about 100 million, and we thought, hang on, Fulham, they could even challenge for maybe a top half finish, but it's been anything but that. Honestly, it's just too congested there. They don't know their best starting 11. They've not got a cohesive team. It's all over the place. I don't think there's anything a manager can do. I don't think it's Ranieri's fault. I think Jokanovic didn't play a great style, but Ranieri is trying his best, and he's even got players like Mitrovic on form, but it's gone too far. I think that Fulham are in trouble. You can expect them to get relegated this season unless something mad happens. 2-0 to Newcastle.
Okay, I don't know what's wrong. I didn't even say my prediction. I'm going to go Newcastle to scrape. Well, I say scrape past Fulham. I don't think they're going to be in it the whole game, but I think Newcastle are going to have a bit of a struggle finishing off their chances. So I'm only going to go for a 1-0 win. And like I correctly predicted with Rondon getting the winning goal against David's Huddersfield, I'm going to go with Rondon again to continue his prolificness in front of the goal. And I'm going to go for Newcastle 1, Fulham 0. Moving on to West Ham, Watford. Two teams in great form. What do we predict? Pellegrini has got West Ham playing very, very good football. Hernandez seems to be in great form. Snodgrass is whipping balls in like he's Iron Robin in his prime. honestly, where has Robert Snodgrass come from? He got shipped out on loan to Aston Villa, and now he's come back and he's got a better ball on him than Xavi or Iniesta. What's gone on?
Well, when he was at Aston Villa, he actually had some good success over there. But obviously he's come back, and West Ham, they're in good form. No one really expected this after such a shaky start. Everyone was thinking, just a lower mid-table finish maybe, or possibly even fighting relegation. But it's been anything but. They are in good form. But obviously the opponents, Watford, they've got some great players. If you watch De La Feu's performance last match, he was absolutely brilliant. He stole the show. And players like Quina, he can shoot from distance. He's a great youngster. Roberto Pereira, they've got a really good team actually, and it is an issue with finding stability with Watford. We did say this early on in the Football Natter, back in episode 1 or 2, that they do struggle to maintain a good record, but I think that after that last game, they're going to bring out the firepower, and West Ham are just going to sink to a 2-1 loss.
So you've got a 2-1 loss to West Ham. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for West Ham. So we'll see what happens with that one. Cardiff Man United, mentioned it briefly earlier. Solskjaer going back to his old club in his first game. Cardiff fans were tearing into him in his appointment, saying he's going to do nothing at Manchester United. What do we think? I personally think Neil Warnock is going to pull up all the stops to make sure he doesn't get beaten, make sure he picks up something. So I'm going to go for Cardiff to pick up a point here, and 1-1 for me.
Yeah, obviously Solskjaer with history at both clubs. It will be an interesting match for him, definitely. Not going to be that interesting to watch, I don't think, though, because obviously Man United are picking up the pieces in Cardiff. I think they've done really well actually so far, because me and pretty much everyone else definitely thought that they were going to be struggling probably in 20th place at this point, but no, they've been doing decent, and it will be a tough game for United, but I think they've got the quality there, and Solskjaer will want to prove to the fans and to the players that he was worth being there this season. I'm just going to say 2-1 to Man United.
Okay, so you're predicting a win for Solskjaer in his first game. Again, we'll see. And on to Sunday's game, Everton-Tottenham. Two teams in very good form. Two teams that play very good football. Set up well by two very good managers. Marco Silva versus Pochettino. Gylfi Sigurdsson versus Christian Eriksen. Very big game, and could be vital in where the teams finish at the end of the season. Tottenham have got to go and try and win to prove that they can do it against the big teams in the league. Everton have got to do the same for the same reason. They've got to prove that they deserve to be up there in the league, fighting for 6th and 5th place. They need to show that they can compete with the big boys in the league. At Goodison Park, it's going to be tough for Tottenham. But, they've done very, very well at Goodison Park in the past few years. And I'm going to go for another Tottenham win. Everton 1, Tottenham 2.
So, yeah, there's been a lot of talk around Tottenham about trying to challenge for the title. And although I think that might be a little bit exaggerated, I think that they're definitely going to try and push for the highest position possible. They've been playing so well this season now. They've been playing so well in these recent games, despite that 4-2 loss to Arsenal. But that's definitely motivated them, as seen when they came back, won it 2-0. Great performance. I think Everton have really wowed a lot of people this season. They've got some great players in there, like Digne came in. He's really impressed. Andre Gomez and Sigurdsson, well, we know his quality. He's been there for a couple of seasons now. I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be vibrant. It's two great managers and two well-organised teams, but 2-1 to Tottenham, just.
Okay, that's the last prediction. We're done. That is the end of today's episode and this season of the Football Natter. We're going to take a little 3-week break over the Christmas holidays, but rest assured we will be back. Put it in your diary. The 18th of January is when we return with a fantastic, beautiful episode. Don't worry, we know you're excited for the intro. It'll be season 2. It'll be episode 1. We're going to come back with a bang. Of course, if you've got suggestions what you want to see in season 2, let us know. We've got the time over Christmas to decide to put your idea into reality. Email thefootballnatter@gmail.com. But for now, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from Harry. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a fantastic Christmas, and a great new year. We'd love to see you back for season 2. Put it in your diary, 18th of January. See you then. But for now, this has been episode 7 of the Football Natter, the Christmas special.